That would. Someone's get snow.
All right. Ready to go? So, all right, well, Brian, we're ready? Okay,
Yes.
so, welcome to the October 7th, 2025 meeting of the Parks, Landmarks and Cultural Affairs Committee. My name is Neil Barkley. I'm the chair of the committee. Tonight, we are joined by the community coordinator, Brian Lafferty. This meeting is called to order at 6:31. As a reminder, New York, state law, okay, so that's anyone on the committee who isn't able to make it, just having your name in the Zoom, so we can see who it is. Let's see, the members of the public who are attending, virtually, you can raise your comments or questions through Q&A. Of Zoom, members of the public who are here in person, they can raise any questions by raising their hand. If there's time allowing the committee following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. And Rashma Patel was kind enough to say that to volunteer to take minutes, so we appreciate that. And Brian Lafferty will take roll call.
Thanks, Neil. Committee members, when I call your name, please indicate that you're here. I'll announce if there's a quorum. Neil Barkley,
Present.
thank you. Marty Barrett,
Present.
thank you. Daniel Bernstein,
Present.
thank you. Robert Farfan,
Present.
thank you. Rabia Iqbal,
Present on Zoom.
thank you. Paige Judge, I don't see Paige. Yes, but I will be joining shortly. Anton Malner,
Present.
thank you. Reshma Patel is excused, Sandra Sarad is excused, Mubin Siddiqui is excused, and Letty Simon is excused. Mark Thompson,
Present.
thank you. Sarah Whittington,
Present.
thank you. Shuya Zhao,
Present.
thank you. With 9 members present, we have a quorum.
All right, the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. So, no objection, okay, we'll move on. So that's adopted, no one objects. Adopting the minutes from the September 2nd, 2025 meeting, Daniel was nice enough to take those. Everyone had a look, no objections.
They were amazing.
They were amazing.
Amazing,
All right, there
yeah.
you go.
It was a book.
It was a book.
I do that.
Next time it'll be shorter though. I'll get your hopes up.
And so no objections, and so that's fine, we will adopt those and that will be on the CB6 website. And all right, so ground rules, let's see, there's always 5 on here. No one can speak until granted the floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, raise your hand. Committee members unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you can raise your hand through Zoom, you'll be identified to speak. Let's see, committee members, so it's important that we all speak one at a time so that people online can hear us. And then the 5th one, chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about it. Yeah, so people at home on the committee don't, share committee business on the Zoom chat feature function. Okay, so we have a long agenda, we'll just get right to it. We'll start with number 1, presentation from the New York City Economic Development Corporation, acronym EDC, and the NYC Department of Parks and Recreation on the 34th Street open space. All right, thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see everyone in person. I've been to CB6 land use many times. I've been to the full board, and it's great to see so many new people that I haven't met before. I thought I knew the board so well, and then there's like only new faces in the room. My name is Ben Kuhn. I'm an assistant vice president on our government and community relations team at EDC. I'm joined online by my colleague Diana Sweetie, who's a vice president on our government and community relations team. And then Sarah from Parks and Jessica Greenspan, who's on our design and construction team at EDC and who's been kind of working in the background on this project. So very excited to come here and give you a couple of pretty big updates regarding the east side Greenway from Water Club to East 34th. If you want to flip the side, I think Diana's online doing that for me. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, so the two updates are one on the East 34th public open space that's being built to replace the NYU parking lot, so right by the ferry stop. And then want to give you an update on some of the substructure work that we're doing in that whole area. Next slide, please. So probably don't need this for most people in the room, but just a little bit of context. I think everyone really knows, but Water Club and the parking lot, which is the former Water Club parking lot. There's the East 34th heliport, and then there's the future open space where the NYU parking lot was up until about a month ago.
Ben?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just hanging right
Yeah,
on this
That's a really good point. Oh. Yeah, next slide, please. So we are gonna start out with talking about the open space, so just wanna take a moment to recognize kind of the achievement that we have here, and we're gonna congratulate all the advocacy of Sandy, of Neil, of Kyle, of Councilmember Powers in the small village that kind of made this possible. I know it's been a priority of the community board for years now to find a new use for what was formerly a parking lot on our waterfront, and so happy to say that we're achieving that in, I think, pretty quick order and in an impressive manner. So just to give a little bit of a recap, NYU vacated the site on September 1st. We are going to PDC on October 21st with a design, which we'll show on the next couple of slides. And we are happy to say that all the project funding has been secured. As far as the timeline for the actual park, it will begin on December 25th. And the project is expected to finish by March of 2026, and then kind of a tentative opening shortly after that, and what we're saying, spring of 2026. Is that quick enough for you?
That's fantastic.
I know, we're excited too, and I was impressed when I saw the timeline too. The funding was $1.1 million, 600,000 of which was Councilmember Powers discretionary funds, and $523,000 that came from Parks, which is technically mayoral funds for their capital projects. And so I think we can get into the details on the next page. I did just want to highlight that we are calling it temporary open space, and that is because there's a lot up in the air on the east side, which I'm sure you all know about, as far as planned state work that, as far as we know, has no start time. It's likely years in the future, but you're frankly gonna have to ask them for any other questions beyond that.
What work would that be?
There's been discussions of repairing the FDR there, which is a pretty major undertaking, and I think if it was happening soon, you'd probably be hearing about it by now, hopefully, but yeah, I can't really say anything more other than we're building there because we're not necessarily expecting it to take place anytime soon, but it is temporary pending kind of that work. Next slide, please. So as you can see, here's the plan for the small open space. So the asphalt will be painted in kind of a way that we hope is friendly to users and separates itself a little bit from kind of like the cement that is surrounding it on the greenway. There will be adult fitness furniture installed over here, and then there will be other pieces of furniture, picnic tables and chairs, a lounge area also on the side closer to the ferry stop. And then there will be protective bollards, separating the space, from the, I guess, the west side. Next slide, please. And as you can see here, here's a couple of diagrams of the furniture, so some pretty basic seating, some basic kind of fitness equipment, which isn't shown on this slide. But excited to kind of have some area where people can sit in front of the waterfront and see. And you know, I do want to recognize that it's a pretty constrained site, whether it be size, there's no utilities to the site. And as you know, like there's uses on every side. And you know, frankly, it's a limited budget and a will to kind of get this done as quick as possible. Next slide, please. And here you can see some of the adult fitness equipment. There's like a bench press type of thing, and I don't quite understand what people do on these bars, but I assume they push themselves up and down or something like that. But fitness people can speak up if you're in the room. Next slide, please. So now getting into the substructure work. We've presented this at land use before, but I think this might be the first time people at parks are seeing this, but the substructure in the area between kind of Water Club and this new open space is in pretty, just frankly, bad repair. There is significant life and safety concerns when it over near the heliport and the future open space. And so that's going to be the first phase of this work, which will again imminently. And then the expected completion work is July 2027, and then that will include the rest of the space between the Water Club and the new open space. Almost all of the work is going to be done by divers underwater, and so it really is substructure work and pretty significant. I am, you know, folks probably won't be thrilled to hear it, but unfortunately, we are going to have to stage the work in the Water Club parking lot. That's the kind of only space that's available to us, especially with the parking lot being turned to open space. We are making.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
because I thought that maybe the staging wasn't going to be there,
Yeah.
that it was possibly going to be at the old parking, the NYU parking.
Yeah, that was the original plan, and we actually were able to push the open space work up because we knew that was a priority for the community.
Okay,
So the original plan was to do the staging there, push the open space work back a couple of years until this work was done. And the decision was made to kind of get this done as possible, just hearing the kind of priorities of the community. So our plan is to try to organize a walkthrough with the community. So anyone here is invited. I'm sure Sandy will be a priority to come along. I know we're in touch with Janet and Susan from Waterside and Stuytown. And you know, happy to kind of want to distribute that out. I think we're trying to set a time for next week, hopefully. I do know that their bike lanes will be preserved, and then basically they're gonna have temporary access, like on the west side of the parking lot, so away from the water. That's gonna be at the bare minimum, the width of the greenway and likely a few feet more than that. So if the access will be preserved, and happy to kind of work with you all on what we can do as far as, you know, improving the experience, understanding that you are going to be losing a little bit of access to the water, which we know is not what anyone in this room necessarily wants, but this work it's behind schedule and needs to happen, and really no other option, unfortunately. Next slide, please. So this is just outlining some of the life and safety concerns, which I already said. Pole doesn't look like it's in good shape to anybody, I'm sure, so just kind of emphasizing that this is driving the work and is gonna be a priority for the first phase of the work, which is will be starting in the next few weeks. Slide, and then here's just a small schedule. It's the completion date for the life and safety work is Q1 of next year, and then the rest of the work will be ongoing through Q3 of 2027. I believe that's the last time. So happy to answer any questions.
A few,
Yeah,
some is in regard, one's in regards to this, that is, what's happening with, the water club? Is the building gonna be taken down or?
so all of this substructure work has to happen for anything to be happening there. And so I think our priority is just getting this work done and, I think probably once this work is kind of getting closer to completion date, then we can more realistically, think about options, but definitely no plans for demolition. I would say either direction of like demolition or activation.
The substructure work that's being done at the north end of East River Park,
Yeah.
how far north will that go? And is there a time? I'm the president of the Stuyvesant Cove Park Association. And so will it go as far as Stuyvesant Cove Park or?
Not so I only know about the area, so it's starting at wherever the water looks like about 25th or something like that. But Jessica, I'm not sure if you have anything to kind of opine on as far as like the work that's farther south. I assume not though.
These two diagrams right here show the extent of all the substructure work.
Right.
And thirdly, the connection between 53rd Street and 38th Street, is the plans in, or is there a timeline?
You're talking, sorry, I'm not sure. I think that might be like a DOT question.
The completion of the gap in the green.
Oh, the gap in the greenway. Sorry, I'm not able to speak to that, but I'm happy to take the question back to our team that does work on it.
Thanks for coming here and giving the presentation. I have a really simple question first. I have some other questions, but this one's pretty basic. It's my first time learning about this project and, hearing about it all. What is the substructure and how does it work and what's the purpose of it? Is it just like the base that things are built on? Can you tell us about that?
Jessica, are you able to provide like a quick explanation on what the purpose of the substructure is and what it is?
Yeah, the substructure is made up of, as you can see here, the high level platform, the low level platform. So these are what these structures are sitting on, and they're made up of piles. So those are just like the long piles that you kind of see under like a pier. And there's about 2,000 of them supporting all of this that you see like in the various boxes. And they
2,000.
are 2,000, yeah.
Okay. Piles of like wood stuff, basically.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what all the structures in the parking lots and the helicopter platforms are built on top of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what's this red box? Like, why is that highlighted?
It's the heliport.
But why is it special?
Jessica, that's the life and safety work, right?
Yes, that's just the part of our project limits.
I mean the red
so-
box on the top diagram.
Oh, right. So yes, that is the life and safety portion of our work, that we're calling phase 1. That's the work that needs to start immediately,
Yeah.
that has severely deteriorated piles.
Okay, and then I know that you had a slide on why that's like a life and safety risk, but like why is it? Like if I'm running on it, tomorrow, am I gonna, collapse into a sinkhole, or like what's the actual like physical
No,
life and
there's
safety risk?
Yeah, there is no immediate threat to life and safety. but those piles are at more risk of failing, and there's no real way to predict what would happen to the structure if like all of those piles were to fail at the same time, when we don't think that's going to happen, but we need to repair them as soon as possible to reduce that chance.
And then another follow-up question. Sorry if this is derailing anything, but I'm no engineer. But is the rebuilding of the substructure like more wooden piles? Is that like how this works, or how does that work?
They're pile repairs, so pile encasements. So the
So it's
piles
like
won't
more
be. What is that?
So it's more wood, like that's the actual like thing that people are going in there to build on. That's the staging.
No, it's not more wood. It will be a mixture of like concrete and like epoxy coating that will like reinforce the wooden piles.
Okay. Thank you. I'm done on the substructure.
I would
Must be an engineer.
I know that there is a passageway on East 37th Street that goes underneath the FDR Drive. And that is sort of chained, it's got like a it's sort of fenced off every once in a while. People sort of go through there. That's leading over to, First Avenue, and I'm wondering if there's any plan to upgrade that passageway, or is that gonna continue to be closed off?
I think that would be a DOT
Okay.
question unless there's something I'm missing that's related to like the greenways, but it would be DOT.
Okay, and you mentioned that there was not have any bathroom facilities in that area? Oh,
Um, there are any, but not many being installed for this. As we said, there's no utilities unfortunately going to the park.
Oh.
They're not the ferry stop.
No. Where there's staff.
Anyone else? Yeah, one more.
Yeah, sorry. I had other questions about the project. You mentioned.
Just the best one, the best question.
Okay. I don't know, then I'll just pass. Don't worry about it. I'll follow up in an email or something.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Sandy, yes.
I can look to the plan for a minute. I
Sure.
was just wondering if there always was the fuel access to the heliport through this space. Because it looked like it was sort of packed with cars.
Dan, do you mind going back?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Can you say again which slide?
Yes, the plan, the overall plan. And I just wondered if there was always that fuel truck access. Because it seemed like the space was completely filled with cars previously.
Jessica, do you know,
Hi, folks.
Yeah.
or if anyone
I can
from
answer
Parks
that
wants to jump in?
question. Can you hear me okay? This is Mary from Parks.
Yes.
So yes, that field truck access has been going on for many years. It's roughly once a week early in the weekday mornings. And the reason it wasn't as clear is because the parking lot either at that time had fewer cars or they had a way to get the truck in with the cars. But yes, it's been a consistent operation of that space and will remain so. Jess might have more details on what the future operations are, but that truck lane is there to stay for now.
Because they already consume a fair amount of space and access in that area, so couldn't they bring their truck in on the existing, or on the road that's already there and not utilize that space?
It's a great question. I know the heliport was considering relocating their fuel deliveries to the south of their lot and decided against it. Jess, you may have more information. I know that conversation was being guided by EDC.
I
No.
do. Yeah, I don't have that answer. That's a different team, but I can get more insight into it. But yes, there was like a month's long deliberation on where to put that fuel truck lane.
We fought so hard for this space to have it be used by a fuel truck seems really wrong.
Mary, you said it's pretty infrequently used by the fuel truck.
It's frequent, but definitely hear you on the constraints it imposes on the space. One thing I just wanted to highlight is that this is an interim open space. So if it is a priority of the community to relocate that truck lane, this is a great time to share that. And in the future, when this waterfront receives larger kind of planning attention, that would be something that could be considered.
Yes.
So it is.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will there be any tree planting?
Something
in that
happened to
area?
my, is it another camera? Can I use the other camera? Sorry.
I think Mary can speak to that, but the short answer is unfortunately vegetation.
Yeah.
There, I'm not sure if you have any more.
Happy to speak to trees. Unfortunately, there are no utility connections for water underneath this space currently, and as it was an interim improvement to the space, we weren't able to do a full capital project that would look into connecting those utility lines. So plantings weren't possible for this round.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
And for the fuel truck lane, when the fuel truck is not going and not delivering fuel, that's gonna be open park space, like that could be used. What's it gonna look like?
It will look like it's shown here in terms of it being colored gray with protective bollards on the sides, but it will be open so people could walk around and stand there. But
Okay,
whether it would be comfortable to lounge would be
right. I decided my most important question, which is that the running path that goes through that parking lot, or I guess runners go there every day. I wouldn't call it a running path. I'd call it a parking lot for the fuel truck is probably like the ugliest part when you go on a run on the entire east side. Is there anything that can be like done there? Because runners use that all the time and have to run through this ugly parking lot. And I know that that's different from this space, but it is right next to it and it is shown in this map. And I feel like that would be like a great area for improvement, especially if part of, the path is being shut down elsewhere.
Which parking lot? Do you mind specifying?
The parking lot,
Directly
that-
north?
the one that is the heliport parking lot, it's like where this running path turns and then you have that bike lane. It's sort of elevated as if it's a sidewalk. Runners don't go on the bike lane because it's bike lane. So runners run through that strip of pavement that's covered in dirt and has cars taking up like 3 spots at a time. You guys know the one. That parking lot where I don't know, maybe they could put the fuel truck there. I wish, but it's
So I think those are used when they do like the drop offs, like for the organs. So, it's like the setup and then we'll come to the front.
I'm sure it's used partially, but what I'm wondering, I guess, is if there's any way to make that a better path because it's currently a bad path.
Like texturing it or something.
Yeah, or like sectioning a part of that. I don't even really know why the bike lane is raised to that effect, I guess to protect it from the parking lot, but then maybe there could be raised spots for the runners as well, because they go through there all the time and it's dangerous and bad.
Yeah, I think that's probably a DOT question.
But definitely good to raise because there is interest in, the city family and how to improve this space holistically. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess it also asked then about the fenced parks M&O yard. If there was a way to, make that smaller and what's actually going to be in that space.
We're joined here by our Capitol rep, Nick Greffenstedt, who could speak to the dimensions of that, but my understanding is that's probably about a standard sized M&O yard that would be used for parks, vehicles, and possibly storage. Nick, could you speak to it in greater detail?
We actually have people from the borough maintenance who could probably
Yeah,
advise.
Sheena
It's
and
basically
here.
it's dimension for kind of small kind of M&O maintenance buggies and to kind of serve the rest of parks in the vicinity. So it's pretty small as is. To maybe we could consider reducing the size, but it's really at its minimal right now.
And you can't use the fence that's already there? It's around that heliport?
Well, it would have to be secured, and this is a little bit more elegant than a sort of chain link fence. I'm not really sure what fence is there exactly, but we tried to upgrade it a little bit.
It's actually really a small space, so you're actually right. the space isn't that big, but it's standard for the things that we need to be able to take care of that area. So I have a question, on, when Tommy Fitness was coming here, we have a lot of, people from the community, like a pull-up bar. I think, can we go back to the pieces of fitness that's there, that the standard pieces?
Yeah.
Is this for ADA, the parallel bars, is that for ADA
Yeah, I think
purposes
that-
for it? So, is it somewhere, somehow, we can add a pull-up bar? This is a real popular thing for this particular area. And where we used to have a pull-up bar, we had to remove it, because of safety issues at the park that's just down the block, that's called, Glick Park. So we had to remove that, and I was wondering if we can add this way we can give the people in the community back a pull-up bar.
So Sheena, I think or whoever was asking about the combination station, I think the one you see in green, it wouldn't actually be green. That includes pull-up elements too. So all of these fixtures were reviewed for, limited moving parts for maintenance, and then also just ADA. I think three out of the 5 of them are ADA accessible.
Okay, I guess, just look a little, the green one, the combination station, just look a little different from what I'm used to. So
Okay.
maybe this is something new, in design. I mean, it looks great. We're happy to have this too. Here, well, green would make it look nicer. It'll blend in with the colors of the area, but, that's great. I just want to make sure that we were trying to replace what a lot of the people come to Glick Park to utilize, which they can't utilize anymore.
Oh, I have a question with regard to the exercise area. Is that picture on the lower left side, is that supposed to be a bench press?
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a bench press. Yes,
So,
I know that.
I don't, so are people supposed to bring their own weights for that, or how does that work?
I think you pull up, but
I
then
think
you
it's like a body weight.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a body, okay.
I think so.
unless in the maintenance and operation equipment section,
There you-
with weights in there. Possibility.
Not sure I started any weights being put out in parks, but.
No.
That'll be good.
So I think Robert McLean.
Okay, yep.
Also.
I know I think Steve has his hand up as well. Yep, Robert.
Mike, did you want to speak? You've got your hand raised and I'll go after you. Oh, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, you can hear me now, yeah?
Yes, you can hear.
You can go ahead and talk with Steve. Just at the end, I just need that first slide. Yeah, I got everything else except not that first slide. You're too fast for me.
Diana, do you mind going back to the first slide? I think it was just the map of the area.
I just needed the title, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. While you are focusing on that, Mike, I wanted to just ask Ben if you could clarify for the committee about the schedule of the open space being open and then the substructure work happening underneath. From my understanding, the open space opens next spring and then the substructure work continues on, through 2027. So I just was hoping you could talk about that and kind of give the public an idea of what they might expect if they're sitting out there on one of these nice new benches and some of that substructural work is happening below them. I'm just hoping you could kind of give some more context on that.
Yeah, Jessica, are you able to kind of start out there?
Yes, so I did ask our contractors about that. They pretty much said it would be like general construction noise, like crane movement, forklift movement, backup alarms, like if a truck is moving, milling and paving once we're doing that at the heliport. They think it will be pretty short in duration, and they think the noise level would be less than the current traffic from the FDR.
Okay, and is the open space substructure specifically being handled by a barge? So it's waterfront
Yes.
driven? Okay. So just, once you're out there enjoying this nice space, at some point a barge may pull up and make some improvements below the substructure. Just wanted to let folks know that.
For like
But
a year.
wanted to open the top side as soon as possible to get folks out there.
For 2027.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not
Right.
all happening. Steve, I think I see your hand raised. I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah. Promoted to panelists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. So I think, as you all know, this project and maybe it's already been mentioned, originated with Community Board 6. We pursued this idea of removing the parking lot and creating this open space because it was a request that came to us from your board, and you pushed us, and we went ahead and we came up with this plan. And at this point, frankly, the Public Design Commission has raised some questions about whether or not it has community support, whether or not the community feels as though this project actually provides value to the community. So if we're going to proceed with this project, frankly, I think it's important that we get a strong letter of support from CB6 telling PDC, telling the Parks Department, telling EDC that you want what we have just presented to you for the open space. Put the substructure issues to the side. What we need to focus on at the moment is the open space and whether or not Board 6 wants the plan that we have just presented to you.
How many years? 25?
Resolution.
And so Steve, can I ask you a question? We have a few tweaks we really think would improve it, like getting rid of the fuel truck.
Tweaks are okay. Yeah, you can. I'm not going to. You should suggest whatever you wish, but we need to send a message, frankly, to PDC that you want this interim plan in some basically in the form we presented it, and certainly we can. It's not. It hasn't been built yet. We can make changes. We can try to look at making changes, but you need to let PDC know that you believe this is something that's important to the community and that will, in fact, provide value to people in the community.
And Steve, when would you need this letter?
But pretty quickly. I think.
Is November okay?
Maybe not. Hold on a moment.
I think we're going to PDC on October.
DC.
All right, yeah, yes, not November.
Do you just want a letter from Sandy?
Yeah, but
With every past community board chair signing it too?
We have extensive documentation about how much we want in space. So if that's appropriate, and we don't have a resolution.
Yeah, I mean, did somebody from EDC just indicate when they're going back to PDC on this?
October
The 21st.
21st. Well, can you get us something by then?
Yes, we just won't have a full resolution. Our full board meeting is tomorrow night.
Yeah, all right, well, we can, we can probably add that to the record later on, but, well, I think we,
You get a letter.
I think we need to show something to PDC by the, on the 21st, so they know that, that this is an important project that the community board definitely wants.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Steve, Mark, do you want a lot of verbiage or is it a nice short one just saying we've been talking about this for? Were you chair?
I think
Mark was chair before.
I don't know, I think a one-page letter should suffice.
Okay.
Don't make it too short, but,
Yeah.
3 or 4 good paragraphs should do the trick.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. This is Sarah Nielsen, also from Parks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great. I just thought I would chime in. I agree with Steve. I think a brief letter to the PDC will be helpful. But just to remind you all, some of you, if you weren't on the board, years and years ago, this came to Parks, and it was your predecessors on the board saying, this is our limited public waterfront, and we just want to go out there. We can't believe there's parking. Please, Parks, help us. And we did the best that we could. And we, this is for this particular area, it's a pretty meager budget. And as we mentioned, there aren't utilities. So the goal of this project is to get the cars out, which has been achieved. So thank you, our EDC colleagues, and support from so many people who supported that. And now we want to get people there. And we know it's not a really, really robust design, but we also know there's a lot of interest from the community to do kind of a more big picture urban design type of study for this area. And so we think that, this is a great way to kind of set the stage for some future thinking that's going to come. And we're just really excited that it's gotten this far. And we're hoping that you all can kind of, get behind where we're at now and also start to join us in like some future thinking about what it might be along here with the ferry and Waterside Pier and this whole stretch. That's this really beautiful Midtown waterfront.
The city is also constructing something in 6 months, which is.
Yeah, wow.
Just want to put that up. Yeah.
Absolutely, we understand, and thank you.
It may have been on a 197A plan that we did in the 90s.
I think it was before that.
Totally. Yeah.
We'll add that to what we send in.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so I think that's it for this one.
I know, I think Kevin O'Keefe had his hand raised earlier.
Oh, I don't see it now.
But he's-
Kevin, do you have a question?
The question is, has been answered in chat by Sarah. So thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Okay, but if there's anyone here from Councilmember Powers' office, Sarah did not mean to say that it's just a meager budget. We got a deep.
You are correct, Steve. We are very grateful for the budget. So thank you, council member's office. Thank you.
All right.
I think she euphemistically used the word limited, which I think is very strong and supportive of the council member's office.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, very good. And if this project does not go through, Sarah does not get her merit badge. So
Yeah.
really, we need to get this project done.
It's really what this is about. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
It's a vanity project. Okay.
Right, I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming, and if we have any questions, we can reach out, and whatever we can do to help out on the 21st.
Yeah, we can, I was ever comments.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so just quickly, Frampton, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here.
Just one quick question, right? I don't know if you can see. So we have a bunch of kids who are here. So
Okay.
the third one is just like a quick presentation
Okay.
without a sign. Okay, can they just go and then they can
Sure,
go
of
home
course. Yes.
do their homework?
You're up. Okay.
Do you have the flag shown?
Yes, Brian's going to pull it up.
That was so nice. Thank you. Yes, and young.
Here's your board members. Did you say board?
One down. There we go.
I'm used to this at my job. And
Did you want to start with the title slide or?
Okay,
So my name is Kara Greenwood and I'm the founding director of the We Want Club and founded it in 2004. I like to say at 26, but I should stop saying that now. People start doing that. And I'm here to certify the brass sign in hopes of having a certificate of appropriateness for the brass sign in front of our building. It cannot be handled at staff level at LPC because of the size of it. And so we are here. Next slide. The map of our landmark area and the green square is where our 3 buildings are. Really, that's it. Here is it's about 51, it's 51 feet wide, the 3 buildings together. And this is how it looks from the street. This is the main entrance, and here to the east is our secondary entrance to 130, and there to the west is our secondary, I guess tertiary entrance, whatever, to 126 building on 36th Street. Here's just a shot of behind the gate from the sidewalk for the main entrance. It's about 15 feet back from the sidewalk when the gate is closed. And then we just did a couple of shots from the secondary entrances on either side. So the purpose of the sign, obviously to mark the main entrance, would need to be somehow visible from either side as people approach. And there are fences all across, so we're 15 feet back straight across. So the details about the sign, it is engraved solid brass. It's 30 by 30, so 6.25 square feet, where we would have at any rate, it's 3/8 inches thick, which is appropriate. It was mounted approximately 10 years ago. We've been there for 21 years, but it is mounted quite firmly into the face of the building, but it's mounted into straight masonry. It's not affected any historic detail. And so I guess the next one we can talk about just a bit more. So we have some materials cohesion. So I essentially, unaware of what was happening, basically worked purely on aesthetics and the characteristics of the neighborhood. So I selected things based on what we saw as far as existing detail that we loved on the buildings. And we tried to select things that were harmonious with that, walked around the neighborhood, get a really good idea of what was there and what people would see. So the color of the design, trying to be complementary to all of these features. I mean, I can go on, but I think we see, so. So we just have a map of precedents, so locations of signs within the historic district. We have the Green Star and all of the other things that we would reference in this slideshow are on orange, exactly. Again, some things that may have added in my decision-making process. I really didn't want to have several signs in front of each door. I really wanted to make it one cleaner, looking visually less chaotic, and probably take up just less attention in the long run. I think that's all of that as well. I wanted it to be brass, not wood or plastic. So these are the signs that I loved. They are what I loved about, obviously, with the McKinley in white. I just really loved the square clean lines and a little bit of detail. I liked that the lettering was raised and in a more natural brass color, just for being able to see it. I had considered with the Union League Club having the frog up top, and again, I always go for a bit more minimalist and a bit cleaner, so we ended up just making it a square sign that I'm not, maybe in the next picture we can see, but sort of complements the window to the right. It made sense to me that the shape should be square because of that. No, and so we can see. And so sort of to wrap it up, the sign has become much more than a marker for a business. It's become a place where people take pictures on their first and last day of school. We have children from Mommy and Me, which is just for the alliteration. So it's grandparents in the neighborhood, moms, dads, everybody comes in. We take pictures in front of the sign first day. And then when they graduate to go off to kindergarten, I've had students come back when they get into college and take pictures with me in front of the sign. And it means a lot to us. It's just grown into something that I think gives the whole community a foundation, a place to go. It's important to us. And those are my children on their first day of pre-K and first day of high school and first day of STEM, which is the most recent we can have. And the next slide. Wow. It's about community involvement. I believe, and I think that's more important than the sign, the school has been there for 21 years, and I believe in the foundation that people don't live in a neighborhood just because of the aesthetics and just because of the beautiful way that it looks, because it does look beautiful. I live there, and that's why. I think the really important part is that when we do things that reach out to the community, even beyond the school, that is the reason why people stay and live and invest in a neighborhood, and that's hope, and it's fulfilling for me too, obviously, between all of these things. And actually everything up here is donated or already. So lots of pictures, but I decided to just put things on there that show that we reach beyond the doors of the school to make sure that we can have those really quality interactions with neighbors that makes it a neighborhood. And that's for me as well, because my husband, I've lived there since 2000. My husband and my 2 children raised them in the same apartment in the same building since then, and we continue to stay and be happy there, and I hope. Basically.
Yes.
The 30 by 30 size, how does that compare to the other signs that are within the neighborhood?
So if you're willing to consider the 51 feet, meaning that it represents 3 wide, then it is that essentially. But if it were to be, I did have measurements there. Some of the signs are quite a bit bigger than what LPC would put for one storefront, which is 2 square feet. But I did put sort of rulers next to it that some of them are substantially larger than that, but not larger than my sign.
I personally think this signage is pretty cute and pretty beautiful, and I think it aligns pretty well with the surrounding buildings. And I just have a quick question about how it is mounted on the wall, because we don't want it to fall on people who pass by that.
In fact, I think the opposite would happen. The flat masonry would come off with it, so it's 8. Actually, if you can go back to slide. Sure. Yeah, so it's mounted with 8 posts of 8-inch diameter drilled into the base of the building, and then it's finished off with construction adhesive. It's not coming off.
So
even if you make me insist.
Do you check the safety frequently? Because it's
Yeah, I mean, yes, and because of the thickness, 3/8 of an inch, you can literally just feel like, I mean, it's not moving. Construction adhesive is almost like a concrete in a sense. So once you got that on there and the bolts that look like this before they go in, and it's bolted all 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's been so long since we've installed it. It looks like a lot of bolts that were about that long and that thick being drilled into the face, then the adhesive, then pressing on. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I went by there today too, and I think the sign is beside the door.
It is.
And it's not, the people walking in are not gonna be walking under it. And then I think I saw, didn't you have some rubbish to the side of that, or was that, those are located in another shot? So, it was all very nice and neat.
Oh, thank you.
It was.
And the students and the parents since so many have come here, help to plant in the front and maintain the building with us. So it's very much education in everything.
Mark, I don't think there's any objection to this, right? It seems like.
It's been there 10 years.
10 plus, I have the receipt from 2013, but nobody's ever said
Yeah.
anything to me, and we've never had a call on it, we've never,
It's administrative.
Right, and this is strictly administrative.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so they
That's my understanding.
should, do you wanna,
So we had 100, so everyone in favor of the We Ones sign, aye. Against, nay. There you
well,
go.
gee, that sounds like, anybody standing, yeah. Well, why don't we just go ahead and vote, just
For the resolution.
call the resolution that somebody wrote last night and it's already done, so.
This is wonderful resolution that Mark wrote. But as Marty pointed out, with a great eye that Marty has, we just need to add the We Ones Club.
Yeah, the name, yeah, which I
to
thought
the
I did, but
resolution,
sorry.
and that would be it,
Sorry.
so.
Yeah,
You'll get a good resolution.
I'll get there one of these years, some decade, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have the writing resolution class, right?
Oh, right, yeah, no, yeah.
Mark.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, so we can, yeah, we can.
First and
vote this.
seconded, and-
There you go,
I second it.
thank you.
So then this one is a roll call vote, or do you wanna
Yeah,
do unanimous?
that's
consent?
unanimous.
Unanimous, right?
Any
Oh, you're
objections?
kidding, oh,
Marty's
okay,
saying,
oh, okay, cause you went there?
What?
You went to?
This side is fine.
Back in 2006.
Okay, so then, we should probably do a roll call vote,
Okay.
just. to-
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so committee members, when I call your name, please, answer, in favor, opposed, abstain, or untitled. Neil Barclay,
In favor?
thank you. Marty Barrett,
Abstain.
thank you. Daniel Bernstein.
In favor.
Thank you. Robert Parker,
In favor.
thank you. Rabia Iqbal,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge. If it's see Paige. Paige, if you can just unmute. You got it. How would you like to vote, Paige?
In favor.
In favor, got it. Thank you. Anton Mulliner,
In favor.
thank you. Mark Thompson.
In favor.
Thank you. Sarah Whittington,
In favor.
thank you. Shuya Zhao,
In favor.
thank you. With 9 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention, and 0 not entitled, the motion passes.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everyone. for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of.
Okay, so, all right, we'll go to agenda item number 3. Second.
Get fewer people for kind of.
Frampton, thank you for your patience here. We really appreciate it.
Sure. So, and if I can share my screen, let's see.
And just quickly, so this one is the presentation by Historic Districts Council, acronym HDC, regarding requests for evaluation in Rose Hill and Kips Bay. Thank you.
Great. All right, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm Frampton Fulbert. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Districts Council. Some of you may know us. You can, my slides are advancing?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're a citywide advocacy organization, working with more than 500 community groups across the city to preserve the places that matter to them. So we've worked on many of the historic districts and individual landmarks around the city, as well as getting many neighborhoods and places listed on the National Register of Historic Places. and other preservation activities. It's a little bit more about what a landmark is in New York City, and I think you all well know this, being the Landmarks Committee of CB6. So one of our main programs is called 6 to Celebrate, which every year we choose 6 neighborhoods or communities to work with on their preservation priorities. These groups apply to work with us around a specific campaign, and we help them on a variety of things, including documentation, research, zoning, landmarking, publicity, etc. So the reason we're here tonight, and I apologize, I'm not quite sure who asked us to present this, because our staff member who did a lot of work on this has since left the organization. But in 2024, we started working with a relatively new small group in the CB6 called the Rose Hill Kips Bay Coalition, which was interested in identifying places that might be worth preserving in those 2 neighborhoods. So this was a very early type of project. And so we and our board, which is filled with a lot of experts on landmarking and architectural history in New York, did several site visits to the neighborhood, walked every single block of Rose Hill and Kips Bay to identify what some of the sites were that might be worthy of preservation. And we've been working with this coalition for the past, in 2024, we did a popular walking tour, and we're now working on a walking tour guidebook with the coalition that will be free for distribution. And of course, we'll obviously send copies of that to CB6. It could be distributed, of interesting sites in the neighborhood. So once our committee met, looked at the neighborhood, we identified about 24 sites in the area that might be worth preserving. And out of that, we decided to move forward with 6 priority sites that we wrote requests for evaluation to the Landmarks Commission for consideration, and received a report back that 5 of those 6 sites might merit designation. And I'll talk about the one interior that they said did not merit designation. So I'm going to walk through those 6 sites, and I think our ask tonight, and the coalition's ask, is the community board interested in supporting these sites with a letter of support to the Landmarks Commission? I think, as you know, once Landmarks issues a letter saying these sites may merit preservation, that's the only formal step they have to make. They never have to move forward beyond that. And they're considering these sites within all their priorities across the city. So we try and gain community support to move these sites forward towards designation. So the 6 sites that we identified as our top priorities are listed here, and I'm going to go through each one individually. And I think all of these are in CB6, but some of them may be slightly outside the border. So you all may know better than I do, because I don't know, there may be some on Lexington or just right over the border. But the first one is 400 First Avenue, which is the former Institute for the Crippled and Disabled. This was built in 1931 as the nation's first center for disability, as one of the nation's first centers for disability rehabilitation and training. And one of the reasons we identified this is that several years ago, under Mayor Adams, the LPC launched an equity framework, which was to identify sites around the city that were for, let's say, underrepresented populations and whose stories weren't being told through landmark designation. And we felt that this was an important site. There are probably very few, if any, designated sites in New York City that are tied to the population, to our disabled people with disabilities. And this was one of the first purpose-built buildings for this, and it's still actually being used today. It's still owned by the city, done by a very prominent architect who designed a lot of landmarked skyscrapers around the city, Ralph Walker, and it was built with a purpose-built design. And today, you all may know it, today it's part of the District 75 program. So this is something we thought was really important to talk about accessibility and equity in landmarks in New York City. The next site was the former George Washington Hotel, which is today the Free Pan Hotel. home to several important figures in New York City history, and built as an early affordable housing for young New Yorkers. And is really still very much intact architecturally as well. The Provident Loan Society on at 436 Park Avenue, tied to some very significant figures in New York City history, J.P. Morgan and Cornelius Vanderbilt II, and designed by an architectural firm that designed a lot of very important landmarks, already designated landmarks in New York City. The Armenian Evangelical Church, we thought that this was really, a very important building. It's actually a reuse of a bank. It was originally a bank, but was quickly repurposed into the Armenian congregation and features stained glass by a very prominent Armenian artist, and still very actively used by the Armenian community today. And tells a really important history of the Armenian community and immigrant history in New York City. This is a little bit more about that with a historic photo of the building. This was a really interesting building that we were, this is 207 East 32nd Street, actually built as a Tammany Hall clubhouse, as you all may know. An early, some would say corrupt political organization in New York City, but very much in control of New York politics in the late 19th, early 20th century. Later became the studio of Milton Glaser, created the I Love New York logo, was where Ms. Magazine was founded, and is now the New York Review of Books. And actually, you can see just on one side of this photo, the fence with trees there is actually part of the school next door, but that fence was also designed by Milton Glaser, even though it's on a separate piece of property. And so you can see here an original photo of the building, as well as a sign for Ms. Magazine that was put up several years ago, Ms. Magazine Way. And then the last site that we recommended was the Madison Square Post Office, an important New Deal building designed in a classical style by Lorimer Rich, which has a lot of really great detail that you all probably know. The LPC said that the exterior would be considered for landmarking, but the interior with its 8 murals by Kindred McLeary, a WPA artist, they felt the interior was not eligible for landmarking. So even though it does have these great
this is the interior. It's beautiful.
Wow.
If you haven't
Great
gone-
artwork. They said that this is not worthy of designation. And our concern also is that a lot of these post offices continue to face possible closure and demolition, with the Postal Service kind of continuing to shrink. And we several years ago got a similar post office, an Art Deco post office in the Bronx, designated on the interior, which has some really fantastic WP murals there as well. So I'm happy to, I just wanted to share this. The research on the first site that we talked about, 400 First Avenue, was actually part of a studio at Columbia University, and a student focused her research on that as an early purpose-built building for a charity. So I'm happy to answer questions about any of these sites. Again, we have about 20 more sites that we're considering, but we have to do more research to see if they actually would rise to the level of being designated. And if we do submit additional requests to landmarks, we're happy to come back to CB6 and present those to you.
Thank you. Questions?
Well, Jack Taylor, who was an honorary lifelong member of this committee, would be thrilled about that. He passed away in 2019. He was 93, but he was
still smoking. With this. Yeah, this is great. The murals on the inside of the post office concern me, because I know they had tried to get a developer to take over the post office before COVID, and that has me really scared. So I think we might want to push on that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you all wrote a letter saying we support these, we support these, and we ask you to consider the interior.
Maybe should we do we want to do something like have us all read it in the next meeting, pass a resolution?
Yeah.
Oh, Marty, yay! He writes good resolutions.
And if there's one word missing.
Yeah.
Like Mark, absolutely.
Can we ask why they, like, on what grounds they said it was not
It's
worthy?
real estate.
The
Yeah.
Landmarks Commission does not have written criteria. It's a discretionary agency, so they are able to use their discretion to identify if something is worthy or not, and that can vary greatly, and we disagree with them on quite a number of buildings that we think should be designated.
Has everyone been in the post office 23rd?
Yeah, I was in there today.
Oh, right. So, yeah, if everyone takes a look, and then this is something that we could potentially discuss,
Yeah,
resolution or advocacy, but it really is a nice building. I'm sorry.
So I have a question for the process. So have you ever talked to the property owner about in the process of trying to designate these buildings? I know that it's not necessary to get the approval of the property owner when LPC wants to designate a building, but most of the time, if this building is designated, and the chances are pretty high that it will cost more work for the owner, and the owner needs to spend more money for the repair work. So I just want to know if you have ever got the opinion from the property owner for this designation.
We do not do that because one, it's not our place to reach out to property owners and tell them that their building has been suggested, because as you say, it does not require owner approval, and the LPC has their own very extensive outreach process to owners. They do not, generally at this point, they talk to owners for a year to 2 years before designating buildings. And so there's not really a role for us. We are more involved in historic districts where there are public community meetings where we come and present about the pros and cons of being in a historic district. But we don't do outreach directly to owners because we have no say over the process, and the LPC has their own outreach process.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Sandy, did you have something?
No,
Okay, Rob?
Oh, yeah, this is more of a procedural question with regard to LPC. Do you know, once the LPC has deemed an area indoors as not worthy of landmark status, can a group, appeal that decision or reapply again at a later time?
They rarely ever reconsider. Only I would say if additional research or pressure is put on them to reconsider. It's happened occasionally, but by and large, they stand by their initial assessment. Again, I think one thing for the board to consider is that there's not a current chair of the commission. The chair resigned in August, retired, and we don't expect necessarily a new chair until the new administration. And so they may not move on designations until that point, at which point they may talk to whoever the mayor is about what their priorities are for designation, and they could revisit it at that time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
We're happy to.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of questions. One is that you had that was Milton Glazier's residence. A member of this committee who's not here would correct you, because she corrected me when I said the same thing. That was his studio, and she knows that because she visited him multiple times there and worked on the project. So I just wanted to correct that through Letty. And the other thing is 123 Lexington, where we know that Chester A. Arthur was sworn in as President of the United States, that has not been designated. Is that because there's been too much structural change? Can you address that?
That is my understanding. I'd have to go back and look at our records in terms of why that building was never considered by LPC. I know there have been quite a few structural changes, and I'm trying to remember if that was the location that was the building next door that was demolished and rebuilt, and so that it is more of a reconstruction than is visible to the public. But I'd have to go back and look, but I do believe that LPC has declined to do that previously.
Okay, and I just want to throw in one more thing. Thank you for mentioning the, former George Washington Hotel. I know that Minoru Yamasaki, the architect, and his team, that's where they drafted the plans for the World Trade Center. in
Oh,
a suite there in the 1960s, and I think that should certainly get a shout out
Yeah,
in any
great.
text that you do.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And I'm happy to send to Neil to forward on to the rest of the committee. I mean, the request that we sent out for each of these buildings is several pages long, so we didn't present all of that tonight, but happy to send that to you. And if any of the committee members want to read those full reports that we sent to OPC, happy to have, you know, if there's any feedback once you read those, also happy to have that.
Thanks.
That it? All right, well, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Sure. Look forward to working with you all. And please, if you have any questions about this request or anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night. All right, this will bring us to number 4 on the agenda. This will be the reports.
Is there anything we have to do as a committee? If
For-
we make a recommendation or to sign on to a letter?
For the landmarks? No, I think they were all already designated or.
Consider, well, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they would just want us to write a letter
We
or
would need a resolution.
resolution.
wait, but I don't think they're not necessarily asking for.
I think he wanted us to do
Yeah.
so. Well, I think, why don't we review it all and then get back to him and say, what do you need us to do?
So, okay,
And we probably don't need to do too much until after January.
okay,
In the past, for these things, we have always had resolutions.
yeah.
They're
Okay,
plenty for terms.
And the resolution to write a letter to LBC?
No, the resolution would go to the LBC.
in support of, with them
Yeah.
designating those, then, okay.
And the
Okay, yeah.
LPC has the final word on whether a building or
Right,
is designated. And generally, when we have a resolution, the owners of the building come, I don't want that.
yeah, we're, no resolutions, we've had enough, packed meetings recently. So, okay, that's what we'll do, and then we could just do one large resolution.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
That's fine, just put the addresses, okay, so, all right, well, we can revisit that.
We could, that way we can say that we actually looked at them all and studied them.
Which is good, because we won't have a new chair anyway on LPC until,
February.
yeah, at least, right? That doesn't need the approval of the council, right?
Yeah.
June? We'll go. Okay, thanks for noting that. Okay, we'll go to Sheena Kaufman now with the report from the Department of Parks and Recreation. Yes, always.
Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna let Mike talk, 'cause when I want to let him speak on Stuyvesant before some people start disappearing from us. So Mike, you can give your report, and then I'll speak afterwards.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah.
You can hear, okay. I was sent to Stuyvesant about February, that's about 8 months ago. They had a big rat problem there. So we put together a crew, and I'm down there every Tuesday, 4 or 5 hours. And we started, let me think. Let's see. We started with about 200 rat holes. And that was in the east and the west side. And now we have about 40. And we've also done Peters Field, which was worse. Peters Field goes from 21st to 20th Street. And we started with 80 rat holes. It's really should get a prize for that. So we fumigated that this morning, and we got it down to 18. We've killed all of the rats from, what is that, 58 or so holes, and then 60 or so, and we got 18 left. And Sheena, you want me to finish my presentation, or you want me to stop here? Okay, she didn't hear me. Okay, some of the other things we had, there was a broken sprinkler head there at Stuyvesant. We fixed that last week. And there's some people that are getting into our park, and we don't know precisely how they're doing it. We think it's on the east side. And so I think the people are coming underneath the gate there at 16th Street. So we put in a work request to get the borough crews to fix that. And then just two small things. Bellevue Park South. It's my park day on October 19th. I'll be there, and there's going to be volunteers from 10 to 12:30, and we will supply the tools, and we'll get them a couple of bags of the planting bulbs. Yeah. So that's mine. So Sheena, you can continue.
Good evening, everyone. So I just have a couple of things to mention. Mike's mentioned Petersfield. So that was one of the areas that we focused on because we're having a lot of problems with dog owners. Specifically early in the morning, between 6:30 and the time that the school opens, and in the evening time, about 5:30, 6:30, with the dogs off the leash, and the dogs owners are becoming increasingly aggressive with other park patrons, and early in the morning just with with staff, when staff is trying to inform them they have to be on the leash. And I do understand that the dogs like the soft grassy feeling of the turf field, but these are kids that utilize this field, and stepping in poop and rolling in urine and stuff like that. It's just not the way kids want to go home smelling or go in school. So we're trying to crack down on it. It's becoming very increasingly hard to do. But we're going to try to implement some things, like coming in, trying to get staff to come in a little early. And the winter time is coming, so we'll be closing the field around 6 o'clock anyway. Once November 1st come into play. But that's become some concerns of ours. The second important thing is I'm getting a lot of phone calls and emails regarding St. Barton's Park with the pickleball people and the people that want to play handball and tennis, right? And so it was all agreed upon when we initially, set in motion with pickleball, that if someone wants to use the other side for handball or any other sport, that if the pickleball players were utilizing it, that they will, excuse themselves and just use that one side, while the other group would like to use the handball court for their little events like tennis or squash or whatever they like to use. Apparently that's not happening. And the pickleball people are becoming increasingly demanding and not wanting to leave the area. They want to continue to play pickleball even though it was in good understanding. I hope that we can get it out there, Kevin. I'm glad you're here, that we can get that out there to the pickleball players, that this is a handball court, right? And that we are utilizing it for them to play pickleball, but they have to be fair. They have to make sure that they're allowing any other group that would like to play tennis or would like to play actual handball to utilize the space and excuse themselves. Because eventually the handball players are going to win this big fight, saying that this is a handball, and they're gonna write letters to the city, and they're gonna continue on to push them out of that area for playing pickleball, and aggressively say this is a handball area. And we just want to make sure that we want to give everybody a chance to play the sport that they come to the park to do. I know there's not enough space for pickleball because there are a lot of pickleball players. We just don't have enough space in CB6 that can take on pickleball at this present time. And we just want everybody to really play fair and not go aggressively towards one another and to a point that is going to cause some major friction, or violence over a game that's supposed to be, you're supposed to come to the park to have fun, and not go at each other for these things like this. So that's something that, I would like, Kevin, if we can, speak to the pickleball players, to, have a great understanding that if someone comes and wants to play, they should excuse themselves off one half.
Yeah, if Neil, if okay to jump in, and Sheena, I am behind Sheena 1000% on this, and it's gotten to the point where I have told, of course, we can only do so much. We can't physically stop them and take their equipment away, but they understand this is not a designated pickleball court space. For them to get to that threshold of qualifying for potentially having a Parks Department designated space, they've got to play fair. There have been holes. I don't want to go into too much, but I have reprimanded more than, and Gina, you know this, reprimanded people for putting holes in the side of the handball court to put up their own nets to stop balls from rolling away from the court. Unacceptable. And I don't know, we don't have any power to sort of, call the precinct, but it is gotten to the point where maybe there should be some PEP officers or something there. And I'm not being dramatic at all, and I don't think you are either. We all need to get along. I love that St. Martin Park sports courts are super popular, but there's definitely a space. There's a need for more common ground understanding. We did have the agreement with the handball players. So whatever we can do, Sheena, the Conservancy, we're 1000% behind you and the Parks Department, as we always have been on this. So
Yeah,
let us know what we need to do.
So I'm looking to fabricate signs. I'm waiting to get permission from our Parks Commissioner, our Borough Commissioner, as well as the Parks Commissioner, to make sure that we can put these signs up so that it can adequately say this is pickleball over here and this is handball and other little sports over there, and hopes that can settle down and stop a lot of the bickering and going back and forth with one another. So hopefully if it gets approved, and it could calm down and I won't get any more of these angry letters or phone calls from the handball, people, threatening to go to the media, threatening to go to, all these other outlets. Cause I really do like the pickleball to be there, to continue to be at St. Martin's, and I just don't want the pickleball people to push so far that it completely stops. So, hopefully if I get the signage approved, hopefully this will work out and everybody can have a better understanding and, play the sport that they came to play.
Yeah, and I will say that, and Gina, this, Neil, this, we had pushed hard the Conservancy to get an open street on 36 between the Tunnel Approach Street and First Avenue, in part because we could put pickleball courts there like we did during a trial. That will mitigate the, popularity of all those pickleball players. Parks Department was behind that application to the DOT. DOT was behind it. MTA Bridges and Tunnels said, no, it's too close to a tunnel, and whatever that means. So, that I think is a true, clear solution, is to put pickleball courts on an open street, if we can somehow make that happen. Unfortunately, the application was denied for the summer because of DOT Bridges and Tunnels.
And also hopefully in the future, if we get some funding for Robert Moses, that will probably be a perfect site just for pickleball. Enough pickleball, courts that can be made there in that space, because it's one of our underutilized, parks in District 6. It's not as, besides, I'm not talking about the turf field, I'm talking about the playground part of it. It's very underutilized, and that would be a perfect area to to place pickleball so people can enjoy and not cause any friction with the people, the apartment complexes behind them. But it'd be a perfect area for that to take place if we ever get some funding to do the park over. So, I'm always looking for places that we can, put some pickleball areas at, so just to help them out and relieve the tension of, some of these parks. But I just need them to play nice, because if they push too hard, we're gonna wind up getting rid of pickleball at St. Barton's completely, and that's
Well,
not
we do
something
have
that I want.
leverage. We do have leverage, Gina, because you know that the Conservancy, in cooperation with the Parks Department, put that that communal pickleball chest there, so anybody can come to the park and doesn't need a net, a paddle, or a ball. It's all supplied. We have a Slack group that gives them the combination, which we change constantly. That's a huge benefit that I'm sure that they wouldn't want to lose. And I'm, I think that they need to understand that that's a huge plus that a lot of other parks don't have. But if they don't play nice, maybe we should
Yeah,
reconsider
well,
where.
yeah, well,
I'm just-
yeah, I just want that to be, us to get it out there, and, maybe you can put some flyers up and just distribute it around, just to let them know that we need to be able to have this as shared space. Because I think, besides that, St. Martin's Park goes, it's fine. St. Martin's Park is fine, but, it's getting, everybody's getting upset and aggressive at this moment, and we don't want that to happen. We don't want nothing else to happen. Other than that, if anybody have any questions about any other site, just let me know, and I'll be glad to fill you in.
Rabia has a question.
Yeah, I do have a question about Pete's Field. Thank you, Sheila. What are you supposed to do if you see like a dog owner allowing their pet to relieve themselves on the child's turf?
So you should do nothing, right? You should just send in a 311, because the more we document it, right, the more we saying that we need the help at that site. We don't have that many park enforcement officers, in the agency, especially in Manhattan, and it's just not enough of them. But maybe this will be able to, once we, say that we are having such an issue at this particular site, maybe we can, be able to, in the future, be able to hire more, or get the funding to hire more, so we can be able to take care of, these little things that's happening at, with dogs and at several of our locations.
Well, so because the police academy is there, there's a lot of police that stand right by the park. You're not supposed to tell them. You're just supposed to go at 311.
That's not a NYPD issue. That's a park issue. If someone was getting violently attacked, then that's a PD issue. But this is more like a quality of life issue. They're not supposed to, have their dogs off the leash, but they do. But we need more, park enforcement to be able to issue out tickets and remove them out of the park with their dogs. NYPD will not do that unless someone's being violently attacked.
Okay, but so like if like a person urinated on the turf, it would be an NYPD issue, but a dog
it won't.
doing it.
No.
Okay.
No, it won't be.
So
Those are
where
just
in-
quality of life issues. NYPD would be if someone's being attacked on the field, like physically attacked, bodily harm, or it has to be something of that nature. Other than that, just a dog pooping and peeing, it's more or less on parks as opposed to NYPD. But we just don't have enough park enforcement officers to be able to go out and issue tickets and summonses to individuals that are doing it, to try to stop them from doing this type of behavior.
What's the proper way to log it in 311?
You can just call 311 and just say that, there's unleashed dogs on the field with their owners, and say what you see, and they'll log it in. We'll get the report, we'll respond, but it's logging it in, it's in the amount of, complaints that we get. It helps us when we need to go to ask for funding for, for more PEP officers. At this time now, we don't have a lot of PEP officers to be able to address these issues all the times. They do go to the field, right? But our PEP officers, they get off early. They start at 10 to 7. But if someone's in the park, right about now, the parks are still open to 9 o'clock. If they know, these people are very smart. They know when the parks are not there, and they know when we close the parks. I have put in place to put in a additional bar in the gate so they wouldn't squeeze their dogs in there. So we working on that. We're doing everything we can to minimize that, but some people are very thin and they could squeeze in between the gates, the gap. Or they allow their dog to do that. And the dogs know what to do. They go on the field and then they come back to their owners and they squeeze that back out to the gate, right? So it's that. So we're looking to do those type of things to help minimize them from getting in the field once we close the field.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? Yes.
Hi, Sheena. I had a question about Petersfield while we're talking about it. It seemed like this summer they put in some new basketball backboards at Petersfield.
Yes.
But still no nets. And I go there sometimes and I like to shoot around, and I complain and I see other people complain about no nets. And I wonder why there are no nets at Petersfield and if there's a plan to put in nets there.
So let me give you some background on that. Parks Department, when we do a park over, initially when we open up, the contract is to put the nets up. We do not put nets up because it's a height issue. It's a height issue for staff. You have to get on the ladder and you have to, it's more or less depending on how high the height of it. We don't want our staff there because other than that, then someone gets hurt. You know how that can go. At times when we can, that we try our best to put the nets up, but we usually don't. Right? That's why we don't even purchase them any longer because of this issue.
So
it's a union issue. It's really a union issue of the height.
And there was a really great guy in the community who used to go around putting up nets.
What was his name?
Kevin O'Keefe.
We still do it. We still do it. We have about 400 nets here that were donated. I think maybe a few less. We put up our 100th net just earlier this year. What we do, it's called Swish You Were Here. It's a community program. The problem with Petersfield, it's the only one we didn't net, and this is over a year ago now. We went to the entire district because there are not holes to put nets. It's one of those just rings for a net.
The rings.
So
now I can get those changed. I can look at that
what
to
you
see
need
the
changed.
change. Okay, I can get those changed. I'll look into getting the rims changed. I can definitely look into doing that. But that's the reason why occasionally occasionally I could get someone to do it, but that's off record. Okay, because it's actually a union. It's actually a union issue, and we don't want anyone to get hurt or injured by getting on top of a ladder to do it. But I will.
Just so you know, we have $1 million per incident insurance. So if we fall, it's our bad. So we'll be happy to do any net that's public, school or park. We're here to do, but not Petersfield with that ring.
I'll try to get them changed so we can be able to hang the nets up. Okay.
So I was wondering when you said you don't do the nets, so then who put up all the nets at all the other basketball courts? Is that Kevin? At all the other?
It must be Kevin because we don't do them. We usually don't do it. Kevin O'Keefe does.
Partners in crime.
Okay, all right, Kevin. If you need help, if you need someone to climb the ladder, I will do it right away. So
hold the trash can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's keep in touch because that's something we can do even this weekend if you want that. Well, we can't do it there, but we can any other place. Not that venue, but any other venue you might.
But I'll try to see if I can get them changed out. We actually just changed some of the backboards. Usually when the park goes under renovation and there's good backboards, so I was able to get a few good backboards. I have one more to replace which is
All
missing
right.
at Petersfield. So I'll see when we can get that one up as well.
And if we're gonna allow a young basketball player to dream, those courts there, the pavement is all lopsided all over the place. I don't know if there are any plans to flatten that out or make that a little bit more, better for playing.
We can add that to our, wish list for it to happen. Add it to our list of priorities. And maybe we can, see what the funding, looks like for that. Because of course,
when it rains or if it's slippery, it's impossible to play there because puddles happen and it's dangerous and everything. So I mean, yeah, I'm just dreaming, but I'll keep doing it.
Okay, I'll definitely add it to the list of things if funding comes available, we'll see if we can be able to do so. We have a few more parks that we would like to get renovated as well, which is which is Robert Moses is one, and Peter Detmo and MacArthur. Those are some of the ones that I'm looking to, push forward to see if renovations can happen in those 3 areas, because they're really important to the community there.
All right, Courtney, Michelle.
Thank you.
Courtney, you should be able to unmute.
I can unmute. Thank you. I just wanted to offer, this is sort of a wacky idea, but I just wanted, in the interest of like thinking outside the box, offer an idea around the dog issue, which troubles me too in parks. And I'm always reminded of, you may remember a few years ago, there was a situation in Central Park with a birder named Christian Cooper. And he enjoyed bird watching in the Ramble, and he was frustrated that people would come into that area and let their dogs off the leash. And so his solution to this, which I always thought was like incredibly ingenious, was he carried dog treats around in his pocket. And if somebody let their dog off the leash, he would pull a treat out of his pocket. And inevitably, the dog would run right over to him. And so then, of course, the owner would put the dog on the leash because they don't want the dog running over to this mystery man. And like, who even knows what this guy is giving the dogs? And then that situation went awry, and it's a really bad and sad story. But I have just always reflected on that as sort of an interesting solution to this issue with the dogs in the park. And it makes me wonder if there's a different way to approach it. So instead of thinking of like deterring the dogs from going into the park, like what if we made the park so attractive for the dogs that it completely freaked out the owners? Like if there were a big bowl of treats right in the center of the lawn. And I mean, I know that's like completely impractical, but I do wonder if there's something we could do that would inspire a certain behavior in the dogs that the owners would find really unappealing, that would just naturally deter the owners from wanting to even bring their dogs to the park. So anyway, I know that's a really nutty idea, and we can't have a big bowl of treats in the middle of the park, but it just makes me think if there's some creative way to sort of think about it differently. Thank you.
But I see Kevin has his hand up. We could teach the dogs to play basketball.
That would make them want to come to the park more.
Yeah.
Or maybe they go to another park because it would have nets.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Pep Alphysters the other day at St. Martin Park, and they did get called because of a dog on the turf. So that was wonderful. All 3 of them that were there. But we have actually pointed out that some of the plants at the park are poisonous to dogs. And so, which is true. It's not. And so that has deterred some by not wanting to go into plant space that they're not aware of what's growing. Not everybody stops with dog, but at least it's a word of caution. Just a word that could.
Yeah, I think the treat thing sounds like a good treat. The problem is that if you're feeding someone else's dog and a dog gets sick, the liability comes about, right? We don't know, and then some of these dogs are aggressive. And a lot of the dogs at Petersfield are pit bulls. So they're, people are scared. These dogs they teach these dogs to be aggressive. So I don't have a good solution for that, but to have more, PEP officers monitoring the area to avoid them from going inside of these areas. We do have, a few dog runs available, for in this area that people just don't want to walk to. They just don't want to go. They want to just go right downstairs from in front of their building or around their block. They don't want to walk to Stuyvesant. They don't want to walk to Bellevue South. They don't want to, go to these different places you know, to relieve their dog. They like the green area.
Right. Okay, so I think that's it. I know we have some people on Zoom that look like they're ready to go to bed. So, but okay, yeah, there was just one question that someone from the community they asked. So this is about with Augusta St. Gaudens with the fence that is there. So we know that the playground will be renovated in 2026, at least then that's when it will start in 2026. And one of the concerns from the community, specifically parents there at PS 40, was that the fence was going to be lowered from 8 feet to 4. So that's, it's a major concern. It's a major safety concern. And I think you had said that there isn't anything like that's a parks policy of lowering the fence. There's nothing around that. And I think you said that there was a park or a playground that had put up a really strong fight, but still lost their battle, to keep up the higher fence.
Yes. So the parks have, as they rebuild parks and playgrounds that have high fences, they're lowering the fences. It's their policy now, Parks Without Borders, and we and they felt that I'm only going to go with I think they felt that the higher fences made the parks look not so great, and they want the parks to be more inviting, so they added a lot of more greenery for for beautification and lowering the fence into a decorative fence, makes the park more appealing, makes it more inviting. And I know a lot of parents have some concerns about it. Unfortunately, the landscape of the park has already been made up and done. And we did invite people once we were awarded the funding for this park to come out and give their suggestions. But the fence level was always going to come down because that's the park's policy now. Some areas where they put up some fights with it, but parks did not. Parks stuck to the story of Parks Without Borders. And I understand on both ends. I can view it on both sides. But as it stands now, the next phase of this for us to do is start the building of the playground. And the reason why we haven't started is because the school is working on their building, and they had asked us not to push forward until they finished completing the hazardous conditions on their building. But we did reach out to the community, and we came to CB6, and we showed what the park would look like in the future once we get started, and the fence lowering was a part of that. So we're not, so at this stage now, the plans are already in place for the fencing to come down.
Okay, yeah, I know that there's a petition that some of the parents have put together on change.org, and they've collected over 250 signatures. So, it's still something that they're quite concerned about. So it sounds like that's a parks policy, and I imagine they would have to look at other avenues or, but it sounds like parks is.
I think last week,
doesn't have any suggestions. Yes.
last month we talked about this and we said that they could raise it to the Borough Parks Commissioner or something. I think we had this conversation.
Yeah, so Sheena works with everyone, so she's aware with the policies coming down. But yeah, we have mentioned it, but I think with also what we had discussed, the parents, I think, started to actually organize from last month's meeting where they didn't, really have anything together. I know the petition has maybe been around a week, maybe a week and a half or so. So I think this is like the first time the parents have kind of,
It's actually on Facebook, I think. I saw it either.
it's on Facebook as well.
There were like
Yeah,
110 or 20 signatures already.
okay, yeah, so it's, okay.
Yes, yeah, this happened at quite a bit of the areas, parks, and the parks have, kind of stand firmed on that because we did lower it at, this was brought up at a lot of parks around the city. This happened to. This is, Augusta's was not it's not the first one. A lot of playgrounds. We even did it to Bellevue South. If anyone remembers how Bellevue South used to look, the gates were high, and when they did Bellevue South, or when they lowered the gates, the community was against it, but the park stood by their policy, and they said, that they were, they want to bring down the fencing to make the park a little more inviting. And I guess they were it's pros and cons on all of it. I can tell you, we haven't had any issues really with any major catastrophes at Bellevue South, because the fence has been lowered, and quite a bit, a lot of the playgrounds around the city, this hasn't been an issue because we lowered the fencing, and in defense of, of the Parks Department, we're lowering the fencing. And I understand the parents' concern, I do. But this policy was, put in place, way before, and I don't know, as much as I can do and say, it was brought to the attention of the borough commissioner. I just don't know, if we're able to make that change at all. I'm not going to say anything can happen, but so far that would just raise concerns of other parks that we lowered the fencing on, that if we don't lower the fence on this particular playground, then you're going to hear a lot of, backlash from all of the other parks that we lowered it from. And it looked like, well, why didn't you do it? You did it to this one, why you didn't do it to that one? So those things start to come about, then we back to raising all these, then we're back to negating our policy and raising all the fences. So it's a strong, it's something that the city came up with, I didn't dream of this thing. It just came about. And I just understand on both parts. I do. But, if you did it for one, you should, I don't know if they're going to make an exception for this one, because then you'll be raising, eyebrows on other locations that we did it at. And then we have a bigger fight.
Okay. Well, all right. I think that's it. No other questions. Thank you so much for coming in, and have a nice evening. Yes.
Sorry, I do see, I don't know, Courtney, Michelle, you had a question about the trees planted in St. Barton's Park recently, and you noted that a lot of them had already shriveled up. And you were asking if anything could be done to save them.
I can address that if you like. We did put up with a cooperation with Tree Time, which is Parks Department, Forestry Department initiative, and Verizon, 17 trees and 6 shrubs over the past 2 weeks. They are being watered on a regular basis by the Forestry Department. They have a routine down. If they look shriveled, I will send a note now to James and Forestry, if you don't mind, Sheena, because they did say they would water them on their normal schedule.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Courtney. So I think that's it. All right, so I'm gonna waive, just chair's report, no meeting next month.
Thanks, Sheena.
We, yeah, Sheena, no meeting next month.
Okay.
It's on election day, unless something urgent comes up, we can look at a date, but as of
Okay.
now, anything, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good night.
Old new business, I don't have anything, so. Okay, I think that's it.